Hey, what's up, fam? I'm going to be coming at you guys with another ESO PvP build for the Blackwood patch. So on this character, we're going to be rocking our Stamina Sorcerer, and let's go on to our attribute points, race, and Mundustone. So it started off, we have 10 points in the health, 54 into stamina, giving us a nice 30,000 max stamina pool and almost 38,000 max health. And when you go to your front bar, because of ability we have slotted, your max stam will actually go up to 32,500 max stam. So the race that we're going to be using for this build is Nord. The other race that you can use is Imperial, but personally I just like Nord because of the nice little bit of ultimate you can get and the little extra defense, but Imperial works really well too because of the max health, max stam, and the cost reduction. And then our Mundustone that we're using is the Serpent. What it does is it increases your stam recovery by 310. So now let's go on to our gear and what we're running, the most important part of these build videos. So our first set that we're going to be using is Sword Singer. What this set is it's the 2-piece is 1000 max stam, 3-piece is 126 weapon damage, 4-piece is extra weapon crit, and then your 5-piece you basically get 600 extra weapon damage to your two-handed abilities. Our next set we're going to be using is the Master's Sword and Shield. What this does, if you guys don't know, when you deal damage with puncture, you heal for 5200 health, and the heal that you get, you gain spell and physical resistance equal to it. Our next set we're going to be using is Plague Doctor. What this set does is honestly just a way to get a huge amount of health, but what it does is 2, 3, and 4 give max health, and the 5-piece also gives max health, but it's almost nearly 3000 max health that you get. And then we have a 1-piece monster set on our shoulder. Right now I'm using Stonekeeper just because it gives 529 max stam, max magic, and max health. But if you want, you could also go with like Bloodspawn for the 1-piece stam recovery. You could go with 1-piece Balorgs for the increased weapon damage. This is pretty much personal preference, but I found getting a nice bit of every resource has been my best outcome with this build. And then for our final set we're using is the Malakath Band of Brutality. What this does is increases your damage done by 16%, but decreases your critical damage done by 50%. So essentially you'd have no crit damage, but you have 16% increased general damage, which is really nice because we're not rocking high crit chance on this build. So this build is a 5 heavy, 2 medium. The Sword Singer Maul, we're going to be rocking Nurntone with it, and we're going to be using a disease damage glyph for just to give minor defile on enemies to reduce their healing. With the Master's Sword and Shield, your sword, your one-handed, whatever you have, I have a mace in this case, is going to be Nurntone. You can also go defending, you can go powered, pretty much anything that you see suitable as a backbar for defense. I go Nurntone because it makes my vigor heal tick a lot higher because I have higher weapon damage, but it's personal preference. So for our head, we're going to have a heavy armor Plague Doctor helmet with a triglyph stat, and it's going to be well fitted as the trait. For our chest is going to be another Plague Doctor. The chest piece is going to be heavy with another tri-stat, but this trait is going to be Impen. For our shoulders, we're going to be using the Stonekeeper. Basically, this is going to be your medium piece, whatever monster set you want to put here, make sure it's medium, and it's going to have triglyph and be Impen. For your waist, you're going to have Plague Doctor, which is another heavy piece. It's going to have triglyph again, and this is going to have an Impen trait. For our gloves, Plague Doctor, once again, it's going to have triglyph, but except this one's going to have well fitted because we are a stamina build. So for throwing in these few well fitteds that I have in here, it will reduce the cost of roll dodge, which saves you a lot of stamina. So for legs, you're going to be Plague Doctor again with triglyph, and this one is also going to be well fitted trait. And then for your feet, you're going to do 1 piece of Sword Singer boots, which is your second medium piece with triglyph, and this is also going to be well fitted. Now for jewelry, the ideal trait you want on all of them is infused. I just don't have the transmute crystals to change this necklace to infused, so right now I have robust. But if you have the transmutes and you get all the pieces put together, you want to go infused, and then everything has weapon damage enchantment. So now let's go over to our champion points. So with this build, we'll start with the red tree. What we have is we're going to have 30 points into tumbling, 10 into Mystic Tenacity. We're going to go up to Survival Instinct and put 50 in it for the 25% cost reduction, 20 into Hero's Vigor to increase our maximum health pool, and then we're going to put 16 into Hasty to increase our movement speed by 4%, just because being able to run and sprint is super important in this game. So then we're going to go over from Tumbling to Defiance. We're going to put 10 points into it to reduce the cost of Break Free. Then we're going to go down to Juggernaut, and preferably, because I have some CP now to spend, you want to get this 250 so you can get 10% damage reduction. And then from here, you take your last 100 points, you're going to put 50 into Boundless Vitality for an extra 1400 max health, and Ironclad for an extra 1700 armor, just to give you a little bit higher max health and a little bit more tankiness. So now that we go to the blue tree, we're going to start with Tireless Discipline, put 20 points into that for 520 more max stam. 20 points into Staving Death, you're going to go into it and put the 20 points into Quick Recovery, so you can open up, so you can come down here to put 50 points in the Duelist Rebuff, so you can get 10% damage reduction. Then you're going to come back up top to Extended Might, you're going to put 20 points into Piercing for 700 Offensive Pen. You're going to then max out Deadly Aim with 50 points, so you can get 10% increased damage on single target abilities, and then you're going to put 50 points into Mastered Arms for another 10% increase on direct damage abilities. Then you're going to come down here to Endless Endurance, and you're going to put 50 points into it for an extra 1300 max stamina. And if you have any extra CP like I'm doing right now, you can put 20 into Precision to increase that little bit of crit chance. You can put 20 into Eldritch Insight, pretty much wherever you see fit with your extra CP points. And so that's the blue tree, and now to go over the green tree. And as I always say, the green tree isn't too important for PvP, but there is one part in the tree that you need to get to that is super helpful in PvP. So we're going to put 50 points into Breakfall, 15 into Wanderer, 10 into Steadfast Enchantment, 50 into Treasure Hunter, 15 into Master Gatherer, and then you're going to put 100 into Gifted Rider. This is the important one you want to put your points into because it increases your mount speed by 10%, which allows you to get to like keeps, get AP, get ticks a lot easier. And then if you have extra CP, you can come down here to Rationeer, max this out at 30. Basically what this does is just increases the duration of your foods. It's just kind of cost efficient, so you don't have to spend as much money, because while playing PvP all day, you don't really make a lot of gold. So now those are my champion points. Let's move over to our skills. So we're going to start with the back bar. For our first ability, we're going to be using Hurricane. This is in your Storm Calling tree. It's your second ability in the tree. It costs magic at first, but then you're going to morph it to stamina. This is your armor buff. It gives you your major resolve, and it also gives minor expedition, so it's going to increase your physical and spell resistance by 6,000 essentially, but it's going to also give you 15% increased movement speed, and it does a little dot damage every second when people stand in it. Our next ability we're going to be using is Dark Deal. This ability is going to be in your Dark Magic tree. What this does is when you need stamina for a quick burst of stamina, what you're going to do is you're going to use this and you're going to restore 8,000 health and then 3,600 stamina instantly, and then you're going to get an additional 2,400 stamina over 20 seconds. But the catch is it costs magicka. So if you feel like you're not using your magicka enough, you have a huge pool of magicka, you're going to transfer 2,000 magicka basically into 3,600 stamina and a little extra over time. Our next ability we're going to be using is Resolving Vigor. This is our heal. It's your dot heal. You want to keep it up all the time. All stamina classes use it. It's down in your Assault tree. It's your very first ability. Now your next ability we're going to be using is Ransack. This is a one-hand and shield ability. Basically what this does is when you hit an opponent, you're gonna apply Major Breach to them, reducing their physical and spell resistance by 6,000. And then on top of it, you're going to get Minor Protection, which reduces the damage you take by 5%. Our last ability on the back bar then is going to be Ball of Lightning. This is in your Storm Calling. It's the very last ability. What this does is it's basically a dash. You streak forward a good amount of distance, and then it takes projectiles for you because it leaves a ball behind you. And what this also does is it cleanses any type of snare or slow you have on you. So this is our snare removal essentially. So now let's go to our front bar. This is where Sword Singer comes into play. So for your first ability, we're going to be using Execution. This is your Execute. This can be found in your two-handed skill tree, second to last ability. Basically when their health is below 25%, 30%, you want to spam this because your damage is 6,000. But when you're buffed up, it goes up to 7,000, and the lower their health is, you get up to 400% more damage on them. So you can hit a whopping like 18,000 Execute on a player. Our next ability we're going to be using is Dizzying Swing. This is your main spammable, your main damage. This is another ability in the two-handed tree. It's the very first ability. When you see the two-tip right now, it's almost 14,000, but when you're fully buffed up with Rally, it's hitting for 15,000. I'll show you right now real quick actually. We're hitting for 15,500 physical damage. And this is just your spammable. It's going to stun them on the second ability, and you're just going to use this to dish out damage to opponents. Our third ability is going to be Bound Armaments. This ability can be found in Daedric Summoning. It's the very last ability. It costs magic at first, but you want to morph it into the one that costs stamina. And basically what this does, it's a buff you want to have up for 40 seconds. When you light attack or heavy attack, you get a blade over your character's head. You can stack up to 4 of them. When you get all 4 stacked, you click the ability again and you release as many blades as you have. So you preferably want to get 4 blades. So when you release all 4, each one's going to deal 5,000 damage. So added up together, that's 20,000 damage right there. And it also gives you an 8% increase max stamina. Our 4th ability is going to be Rally. This is in your 2-handed tree. It's the last ability. This is where you're going to get your major brutality and minor endurance, which increases your weapon damage by 20% and increases your stamina recovery by another 15%. Now this is also a burst heal. When you use it once, it's going to start a timer. You see the timer down there on the buff bar. It's like it's 16, 15. The longer you wait, the bigger the heal. But when I refresh, I just got a 10k heal from it. I just refreshed early, I only got 5,000. If I were to run it all the way out, the longer you have it, the bigger the heal is. Now for the last ability on the front bar is going to be Crystal Weapons. This can be found in Dark Magic. It's the very first ability. This ability also costs Magicka when you first use it. But when you get the morph, you want to go with the stamina version, and what it does is it basically buffs your light and heavy attack. So you're gonna use it, and your weapon's gonna get these crystal fragments around it. And when you light attack, you're gonna proc it, dealing pretty much 11,000 damage to a target and reducing their armor by another 1,000. So using this ability stacked on top of Puncture from your back bar, you're gonna be able to reduce somebody's resistance with a total of 10,000, which is really nice. And then for our ultimate on the front bar, we're going to be using Berserker Rage. This is because we're using Sword Slinger. Sword Slinger gives 600 increased weapon damage to 2-handed abilities. And as you can see, when I buff up, this Berserk Strike is going to be hitting for a huge 20,000 physical damage. And it does it to all nearby enemies, which is really nice. And the plus side to it is it ignores all their physical and spell resistance. So basically what you see on tooltip is what you're going to hit for. There's no less, there's no more. It can be a little less because of people's champion points, where they reduce the amount of damage they take from direct damage, but you're pretty much going to always be guaranteed a 10k Berserk Strike on people, which is really nice. And what it also does is you steal their physical and spell resistance, and the morph that I pick, you become immune to all disabling snares and immobilization effects for 8 seconds. Now to go back to the back bar, because I just realized I forgot to go over the ultimate we were using on the back bar is going to be using Spell Wall. What this does is it basically you have a free block for 7 seconds and you reflect all projectiles at you. It's just really good for a defensive ult. And then as always, like, you just want to put passives into your class tree: 2-handed, 1-handed shield, medium armor, heavy armor. If you want to use Dawnbreaker instead of Berserk Strike, you can, but I would highly suggest you don't, because we are using Sword Slinger, which increases 2-handed ability, so again, it just complements using Berserk Strike. We're going to be having all the passives in Assault, all support passes, and of course all your race passes. So that is my Stamina Sorcerer build. I hope you guys enjoy. It's kind of fun that it's not the one-hit build that everybody's running right now. It's a little bit different. You have a little bit more sustain. You can actually run around. You can actually beef through a lot of damage because you have such a huge maximum health pool, and you can dish out a lot of damage because the Swords are giving you so much extra weapon damage. So if you guys like it, leave a comment. Let me know how you like it in PvP. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and hopefully I'll catch you guys later.